So today's project is going to be a sign. We can obviously see who this sign is for just by the name. This is a friend of mine that does crafting, does obviously some custom knitting and jewelry. She had asked me to make a sign to hang from her tent when she goes to craft shows. And so I have agreed to do that. I'm going to go ahead and film this so that we can see how it's done. That's a pretty intricate little design right there. And I'm probably going to make some changes, not to the shape of the logo, but to where we see different things in here. Like we have openings in the leaves. I'm not going to cut out those little openings. I'm going to have enough fun with the custom script here. The name up here is going to be quite simple. That's not a problem. And neither will these. I probably won't have the little holes in them either, but we're going to make the flowers. I believe it's lavender, if I'm not mistaken. And Hope can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what we're looking at. So let me get this set up. I've got the template already cut out, ready to go, printed on my laser printer, and let's get it started. All right, so here we go. I'm putting a little bit of a framework around this because this needs to be able to hang on a tent. So I need to get that all settled, get that so it all fits nice and neat. And then not only will it hang from the tent, we may want it to hang, it's going to be two-sided. So this same message will be on the other side as well, obviously. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this framework around the outer edges of it. That way we can hang it from the top. If it has to come out from the side, we'll make it so that it can attach this way, and that'll work. Plus, if she's someplace that there is no tent and she just has a table, this will be flat and it will be able to sit on a table. So I'm making sure that this is multi-use and can be used wherever she needs it. So hopefully this will all work out. All right, I have these cut to fit. They go together pretty nice. So what I need to do now is I want to sand them, get them nice and smooth and ready to go. This inner piece will be painted like a beige. These will probably be black in color because the lettering for this is going to be black as well. That's what she wants. She likes black and white. So what I might end up doing is this inner piece here may be painted white. So there's just a lip of white around here with the beige, and then everything else on this will be black. And I think that'll look pretty sharp. So let me get started with that. All right, so I put in some wood filler. There were some divots and some marks in here that I wanted to make sure this was as smooth as possible. And I don't have a planer, so I can't run this through to give me a nice smooth surface. I sanded as much as I could, but it didn't get, there were too many deep holes. This had some rounded over edges that I just didn't want in it. I wanted it to be more of this square. There will be just a slight bevel on it, but not much. Not as much as it was here to begin with. So I added some wood filler. It is walnut color, but that doesn't matter because we're painting it. So I'm going to go ahead next and get my piece of wood ready so I can cut these all out and get us some letters, some flowers, and make this thing look nice. What I like to do when I'm getting ready to cut on the scroll saw is I will take some of this blue painter's tape and I will cover my surface up. And that gives me something to glue my laser print with. So the cutout so what I like to do is I like to cover this with the blue tape, blue painter's tape. And once that's done, I will go and I will spray the back of my laser printouts. So all of these are going to have some spray adhesive put onto them, and then I'll just stick them on here. This piece is just a hair too big, so I wasted a little bit of wood, but that's all right. I'm a little bit cheap that way. So I'll get those stuck onto the blue tape. That way, when I'm finished cutting out my shape, I just peel up the blue tape. I don't have to worry about getting that spray-on adhesive off of the wood. And then what I'll do is I've got packing tape, just your regular cheap old packing tape, and I'll put that over top. And what that also helps us do is helps to lubricate the blade. Don't ask me how that works. but it does. It helps to keep the blade cool, and it helps keep it sharp. One of the things I want to do before I put that packing tape over top of this is I want to make sure that I can see this. And this little piece got cut out here. So I'm going to go ahead and round that over. And then I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I can see where some of these lighter lines are. I want to be able to see that. So when I cut it, I'm not having to guess at anything that I'm doing here. So we'll get these all darkened up, make sure they look good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of a thicker marker here so that I just need one outline on here. Now, I'm going to be making this thicker than what you're seeing here. I just have to do that because otherwise this is not going to, this is going to fall apart. It's thin wood that I'm cutting out of, which I need because I don't want something real thick, because then it doesn't look good added to the base. But if I do too thin, I could have problems cutting this out. I could have problems with it snapping on me, and we don't want that. Once it's glued down, it's not going to be a problem. But it's getting to that point and handling the piece, that's going to be the issue. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to just make sure that I get this nice and dark for me to be able to see. And then I'll cut around it, and I'm going to cut outside of these lines that you're seeing right here so that we can make this look, it could be thicker, but it'll still look good. I still want it to look light and airy as the font is that they've chosen here, but I want it to be thick enough that we're not going to cause any problems down the road. It's now time to put some packing tape over top of these. And then I can go ahead and get started on the scroll sawing. I think what I'm going to do next is I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut each of these out on my bandsaw, these different sections, so I don't have such a large piece that I have to deal with on here. So yeah, let me go ahead and get that part done. All right, here goes. One thing I forgot to do is drill the hole right in there. I need to get that done. So future me here, I'm editing this and I see where it says there's only one thing, and I put in the text just one thing. There are several. There's another issue that I've noticed. I'm not sure if anybody else has it. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that this is a two-sided sign. And you'll notice that while I'm cutting this on the scroll saw, it's only one board thick. Usually when you're doing two pieces, you can put two, especially thin boards like this, two boards together, put your template on top of it and cut, and you'll get both pieces. Well, as this is a two-sided sign, I'm only getting one set of lettering currently and one set of the lavender. I will catch this, and you'll see that I do fix it later, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention that this isn't one thing that I've done wrong. This is two, and I need to get it fixed. All right, so I'm going to put a piece of wood underneath there. I'm going to take this fun little tool I've got. You're not going to be able to see it, but I am drilling the hole right dead center where it needs to go. Perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and while I have this out, I will go ahead and drill these. This is 6 times normal speed, so please don't think I cut this fast. So we've got the lavender is cut out in there, and then I have the other two for the opposite side. Those are cut. So now we're getting ready to do this. One thing you may have noticed is I got this already and remembered at the last minute that this is a two-sided sign, which means I need two of everything. So I cut out the other piece. I got these taped up, got them ready to go, got new holes re-drilled through the centers, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out all the center pieces right now, since that's the hardest part. And then I'll start doing all of the individual letters and put them into the sign. New day, new recording. I went in and I'm redoing this. I started using the same material that I used for the rest of this, for the rest of the lettering, which is this piece of 1/4-inch Luan board. But as you can see, it's similar to plywood in that there are plies of wood glued together. The problem is, and I've already thrown it away, but this thin of lettering started coming apart on me. It started breaking on those lines. So I went out and I had a scrap piece of Masonite, which is solid. So I'm going to use that instead to cut these pieces out slightly thinner. It's not going to be noticeable enough for us to worry about. Actually, I think it's going to look good because of the thinness and the fine lines that we have here. Having a taller, thicker piece may not look as good as this thin custom size. And I'm saying the word custom because I'm reading it as I'm talking. Anyhow, so we're going to go ahead and cut this out using the Masonite, and I think that's going to give us a much better look on this. So next, we get to do the painting. My client would like this to be painted in a tan color, and then what I'm going to do is the inside of each of these pieces, because these are going to go like this. So the side facing in here is going to be white. The rest of it will be black out here. And the letters and the lavender are also going to be black as well. So let me go ahead and we'll start painting. Hopefully I have enough of this color, which I think I do. I need to do both sides. So that should be... I'll do this side and then I'll go do the insides of each of those pieces and then go from there. Okay, I'm very happy this side's done. We'll go ahead and let this one dry before I do the opposite side. So I'm going to paint white on here. This is going to be the inside of the frame, as it were. And I need to leave a strip here. Looks like there's going to be about 1/4 of an inch that is going to be reveal. And so I'm going to do a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. I'm not going to measure. I'm not going to make marks. I'm just going to take my paintbrush, run it down the side on each one of these, leave a strip down the center, and that's really all I'm concerned about. All right, so this is what it looks like. I've got that little strip down there, down the center for the glue. I may take a little bit of sandpaper and just kind of sand that once this is all dry. Then the two top and bottom here and the back will be black. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and put this thing together. So these are the side pieces. They're fully painted, ready to go. We're going to glue them around it like so. All right, hopefully you can see me in here. I'm not even going to check. If not, I'll just zoom in down here once I'm all said and done. Perfect. Got that there. Going to put just a little bit of this tape down so I can put some glue on it. Like so. I'll be back. Needed something to spread the glue with. Okay, I am using the Titebond 3, so let's put just a little bit there, and I will go ahead and put this on right on the edge of the board. Now the Titebond 3 dries darker than the other Titebond products. it more of a yellowish look, I guess, is really what it is. So I do want to be super careful about this. I don't want it to squeeze out. I want to be super careful about the squeeze out on it because it will show up on here. I do have the white edges and I do have that light tan color. So I do want to be super careful about all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of get that ready like that. And then we're going to line this one up. And we're going to line this one up. And just be super careful about it. Hold it into place. Make sure we're lined up on both sides. A little bit difficult because it does want to move on you. We'll get this lined up, level. I think what I'll do is I'm going to put one brad nail in. Let's go on this side because this is easier for me to do. So I'll put one in right here, like so. And that is lined up. And then I'll make sure this side's lined up. And I'll go ahead and put one in right here. And then I'm going to put one in the middle. Perfect. Just perfect. All right, so we have the one in. We're going to go ahead and do the opposite side. All right, that's beautiful. So now I've got this all put together. I don't have any glue squeeze out on this on this side over here, so that's a good thing. So I'm going to put a little bit of this right on here. Okay, now like I said, I'm going to line up these edges so that they line up perfectly with each other. And they're right like this. They're perfect. They're lined up here. They're lined up here. There's a tiny bit of a sticking out on these sides, but it's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. And holding this into place, I will get the one nail in. Now, I will make sure this side's okay and still lined up. And I pulled up too quick. I'm gonna have to get a hammer to fix that. All right. Now we'll notice here that I have a little bit of white showing. At least I think you might be able to see that. And that's okay. What I'll do is I'll probably sand this that's hanging out a little bit. I'm gonna sand that so we're smooth and repaint. It's kind of taking a chance there, hoping against hope that I would have cut all these perfect size. And probably what I'm going to do too is, since these are nicely recessed in, I'll go ahead and put them a little bit further in. I'll put some wood putty in here and smooth that out. Since I'm going to be painting it black, that way you're not even going to see those holes. I think that's what we'll do. That'll be great. We're going to flip this over and do the other side. So what I am going to do is I'm going to get my orbital sander and I'm going to sand anything that's sticking out. I'm going to sand these edges down. Then I'm going to get the wood putty and I'm going to fill in any little gaps that I see because I want it to be nice and seamless around here, which, hey, make mistakes, it just didn't work. I'll fill those all in, get it to look good, and then what I'll do is then once that's all dry, I can repaint that black. Won't take but a minute, and then it's going to be difficult to see these, but all of the letters that we cut out on the scroll saw are on here and they're painted black. What I did is I took some packing tape and turned it over so the sticky side's up, and I put each of the letters on there because if I didn't, the minute I hit that spray paint on here, these things would have blown all over the place and been everywhere. So I put them on the back of the tape so they're in place and taped down. Then I have tweezers that I'll be able to carefully get them off of, and I will get my X-Acto blade as well to pop them off so I don't break them either. Put a little bit of glue on the back and put them into position where they go. I do have the sign. There is a piece cut out because I had to redo the word "and." It broke too badly and I had to re-scroll saw it once I got to that point. These are done. They're drying right now. They got black paint on them. I do have, I'm going to put just a little bit of lavender on the end there, and a little bit of this kind of a sage green kind of on the leaves. Just a little bit of color, just a little bit. All right, let me get going to sand this. Be right back. So there's everything sanded down. I have all the holes filled in, all the cracks filled in. Now it's just a matter of letting this stuff dry, get that all dried up, and then I'll sand it smooth and repaint that black. Might be a little hard to see these things on the black of this little workbench I've got here. Hopefully you can see them. I guess they do pop out pretty well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of purple up on the flower portions of these pieces of lavender, or what are to be representing lavender, and then I'm going to put a little bit of the green on the leafy parts as well. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to put a little bit of white highlights on it, just to hopefully make them pop so they really do look cool. Is just popping a little bit of it on here, just to give it a little bit of color. I want the black to show through underneath so that it looks like shadows. And like I said, once that dries now, I'll be able to throw a little bit of white, just like I'm doing here. I'll be able to do exactly this, only with the white paint, and that's going to make it look like highlights on top. Okay, so not that this has happened to me, but be careful when you're squirting out this paint out of these little containers, these little things, because a whole lot could just squirt out randomly. Now, I'm not saying that's happened to me just now, but I am telling you just be cautious of that, because it makes it difficult to get it all back into the container, or so I've seen on different videos, not here. Okay, for these, I'm not even going to pick these up. I'm just going to do a little bit of a dry brush on them. There will be some black showing, like I said, just to kind of give it that shadowy look. Oops, that's not very little. That's a very lot. Okay, there we go. Pretty good. Let that dry. Then I'm going to take the white paint, like I said, and I'll just do a little bit of like a stippling on that, just to get a little bit of a white highlight. And I have to pay attention too, because I want it to be at the top of the sign. So these will be positioned like this on the sign. One in this arch and the other one this arch. So I want to be careful when I do these. I want to make sure that the white that I do is at the top on here and on this top here. So they're going to be opposite of each other as far as where my highlights will go. All right, so I'm going to be a little bit impatient here. There is a little bit of this lavender color that is still a little bit wet. However, I think I'm okay to put just a little bit of white on it, like so. It's nice if you feel like you've got too much white, which in this case I kind of do. I have still some of that purple over there, that lavender color. So I'm just going to touch up over top of that white and kind of blend it so I get more of a gradient there. The white didn't turn out exactly how I'd liked, but throwing some of that purple on top really does blend it in a little bit nicer. It gives it a nice smoother look to it. So I like it. I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, so I've gotten these lined up. I've got this one is in my hand. I'm putting glue on the back of it right now. 3.5 millimeters is what I did here on this. And I want to get it just down from the top a bit. And I think that'll do the trick. Let's rotate this top just a little bit. And we should have 3.5 on this side, and we do. So I'm going to push that down. And I do have some squeeze out. Doesn't matter how hard you try, you're still going to get it. So I'm just going to wipe it off with this. So that's on. It's in there. It's perfect. So now let me get the other one. All right, I got my glue. And I want to make sure I get this the same distance over here with this one. So I've got that there. That looks good. That looks good. So now let's push it down. I'm just a hair off of the bottom as I was off of the top right there. So just make sure each of these are pushed down. That's doing great. I'm very happy with that. Okay, so now what I need to do is I want to start getting my letters and get those in place. So I need to carefully get those taken off, and I'm going to get them off and I'm going to put them right on like so. So let me get those off and then I will come back. So here's the fun part. I have those in there. Now, based on this image, I need to place the first and the last letter in comparison to where that is right there. So if I lay this like this, and this is at actual size, I can see that the H is going to need to move over just a little bit. And I'm just going to move these up for now. I'm just going to get them moved up out of the way, kind of slide these over. And now I want to get this E, the last one, like right in here where it should be going. It's going to go right about there, I think, so that I have that same distance that we see here. So if I go straight up, you can see, I think I'm going to just be a little more careful. Let's get that right about here. All right, so that's where the first one and the last one are going to be. Now what I want to do is I want to carefully place these where they go. Once they're all in place, then I can go ahead and get my glue and I'll glue them all down. So let's get let's get Hope's name in here. All right, so we have Hope in there. And we can see the E should be right underneath this. And we have it right underneath that. So that's exactly where I wanted it. Put the apostrophe in, throw that S in here. And I think we have her name just how we want it. Now let's look at the H for homemade. This is kind of centered right on this leaf right here. So that H is centered there. So we'll take this and we'll get it right there and get it centered. And that's about the same spacing. It looks like that. I think that's going to work right like that. And then we'll get the rest of these letters in place. All right. Like so. That's going to do it. Now here's the hard part. I got to lift these, put a little bit of glue on the bottom of them, and put them back into place. So that's going to be a blast. So I'm not going to record that because this camera's in my way and I prefer to do this right, and I'll turn this back on as soon as those are done. All right, top row is in place. I have that in there. I think it looks terrific and I have it where it needs to be. So pretty happy with that. Everything is lined up. The glue is drying. So now let me get the script text that says custom knits and jewelry and kind of line it up where I need it. So I just need to kind of figure out where these go. And actually it's going like way out here is where that one goes. So I want to get all the script off and I want to lay it in place just to kind of center it, make sure it looks good. So there's our script. And let's see how are we going to do this one. So we'll put this in place and we can see if I put this U seems to be right about where I have it. Right at the end of this piece here. And so we'll turn this way, go like this. Then knits looks like to me it's just over here and just above. That little dot for the I is going to be royal pain. The word and is missing, so I'll put it there. The J is just above here, and then jewelry is right there. And it goes pretty far past. So basically what I need to do though is if I'm looking, I'm seeing that there's less space here than there is here. So I want the whole thing to just move over just a little bit. That feels better. That feels a lot better, right like that. So I think that's where we're going to put it, is right in there. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and shut this camera off while I do this because it is in my way and I want this to be just right. And I apologize for that. You've seen how I've positioned it. Now it's just a matter of pulling them back up, putting some glue and sticking them back down. So I'm sorry I'm not showing all of that process, but I want this to be just right. All right, super happy how that turned out. That's in there. Let's pull this tape out and see if we do look straight. And I do want to be careful just in case I accidentally put one of those letters over top of the tape, which I did not. Okay, so here we have everything's in, and this is where we are. And I think this looks just fantastic. I'm very happy with it. I'm going to let this side dry just a little, then flip it over and I'll do the other side and I'll be back. It is done. I'm very happy with this. I did send a photo of this to Hope. She's ecstatic, at least it seems like that in a text. I just need to put a spar urethane over it for outdoor use because again, this is going to be outside. It's going to be hanging on her tent, but also, as I stated, I made it so that if she needs it for indoor events, she can just set it on her tabletop with the flat bottom. Let me spin this around and I'll show you. As if I needed to actually show you how it works, but there it is. This is, it's easily sitting on here. It's pretty stable. I do have some chain to hang it from her tent when she does outdoor events. Now, unfortunately, I won't have any photos of that because it is January and we're not setting up a tent just to get a picture, but you get the idea. So there it is, it's done. I will get some images up once I get the urethane on it so you can see it when it's fully finished, done, and ready to go. So I hope you've all enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed making it. I had a good time with this one. The letters were really tough to do, but I think it was well worth it. It looks good.